Okay. Facebook says yes, we are live. Zoom says yes, we are live. Your first rodeo. Is anybody here by your first rodeo? Edna got your $100 haircut or 100 new clients, 100 days. Definitely will use and teach with students. Good to hear, Edna. Thank you so much. I appreciate your purchase. I appreciate you being such a supporter, bringing your students in on this program, having them here and being here every single day. All right. Facebook's up, Zoom's up. Good morning, everybody. I'm Ivan. How you doing today? I hope you're good. Hope you're continuing to social distance and continue your way through this project that is temporary. We don't know the end, but we know it's temporary. Today, on Zoom, you guys know how it works. Mornings, sometimes connection instability. If I go away, I will be back. If I freeze up, I will unfreeze. I will be back. Christopher, good morning. Starting to get a good group rolling in on Facebook as well. All right. Chat is open. Mics are muted. Easy for me to say. And going to be a fun one today. You know, if you remember back to school, thinking high school-ish, you had classes you had to take, like English, science, and math. And then you had classes you want to take. Now, I know some of you wanted to take English, science, and math. That's okay. We're not picking on you guys. But there were electives. There were things you could choose to take because they were going to be fun, or they were going to be interesting, or they were going to be cool, or they were going to be different. Today's an elective. If yesterday asking for referrals, which is heavy-duty big business topic, is a required course, and my God, it should be a required course for everybody in our business. If yesterday was a required course, this morning is an elective. This morning is Clipper Clinic. We're going to take a deep dive look at everything clippers. I raided the shop. I went to the shop last night, and I snatched all the current tools off the top of my station. I got them back here behind me on the floor. This morning, I went down to my toolkit, and I got some of the clippers that I use. I also went into the archives and I got some of the old clippers, some of that I used to use because I'm old, and I also got some of the museum stuff. I got out some of the clippers that I've never used, that I never will use, that are strictly collectibles. They're pieces of the history of our business. They're some of the way it used to be. Some of my collectibles are never used, brand new collectibles. Others of them have years of good service at a station with a big time barber, working hard, and then they've been retired and found their way into my collection. So we're going to look at those. We're going to look at those for their historical value. We'll look at those to get an understanding of the way things used to be. We'll look at those to celebrate how far we've come. And there's a middle generation of clippers here, especially clippers from Andis, because a lot of my collection heavily focuses on Andis because of my working there, my history there, my time there. Some of them are clippers that I was involved in the process of helping to develop, working with engineers, working with sales teams, working with the Andis company as they develop some of those. I've moved on from my role there, as many of you know, but still maintain some close friendships within the company and still am the beneficiary of the occasional sample or prototype or really cool thing going on because I still really dig that side of the business. As well as I've got some of those things from some other companies. So we'll get into all of that as we go. 11 o'clock is Barbicide with Leslie Rosti, special guest. I have not brought guests in on the program. I have one today and one tomorrow who will be brought in. The guests are going to be a little tough on Facebook because the Facebook side of things will not see and hear the guest because we're fed in through here. I'm going to try to do the Facebook link up for those classes directly through Zoom, so Zoom ports over to Facebook. So you'll get to see those. But today at 11 is Barbicide, Infection Control Disinfection with Leslie Rosti. Leslie is their Director of Education. She's been a colleague and close friend of mine for a number of years. I think she's got a lot of value to share, especially coming to our industry as an outsider. She's an RN. She's extremely knowledgeable in infectious disease, infection control. She's got emergency room nursing experience and morphed over into the beauty industry. She went from being a client, getting her hair done and getting a manicure, to being the industry's #1 authority in the beauty industry on sanitation, disinfection, and infection control. She writes for Milady. If you're a student who has a Milady textbook, you've already read Leslie. She writes the chapters on infection control and disinfection. And she works with almost every state's state board of cosmetology and barbering on the regulations in these states with regards to our sanitation and infection control procedures. So if you are in this business, Leslie has touched your life in some way when it comes to keeping you healthy and keeping you safe. So she'll be our special guest on the program tomorrow. Tonight, special program tonight, 8 p.m. Central Time, Facebook only. It will not be on Zoom. Facebook only is a program I'm calling Trade Show Shopping. We all miss our trade shows. We all miss our opportunities to find out about tools and products and equipment in the business and educational things and whatnot. So I'm doing a program. It's like home shopping for the beauty and barber industry. I'm doing a program on Facebook tonight at 8 that is just going to be shopping time. I'm going to tell you about tools. I'm going to demo tools. I'm going to show you how tools work. I'm going to answer questions on tools. And those of you that wish to are going to be able to do some trade show shopping. You guys know you love to do that. If you're new in the business or an industry as a student, that is my time. Now, all my times are always quoted as Central Daylight Time where I live here in Chicago. So adjust your clocks accordingly, knowing that that is the case. 8 p.m. tonight is the Trade Show Shopping program. If you want to shop for tools and materials and things like that, stop on by. If you're not doing any shopping, but you just want to do some learning, it's a little bit of a unique and different learning opportunity because it's going to be heavily focused on tools and demos and having fun with the tools that we use in the business. All right. $100,000 hair cutter. Let's take a look. One idea a day, every single day, 365 days. Welcome to Cinco de Mayo, May 5th. Let's find it here. May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, day 125, 240 days remaining in the year. Greet immediately. No one should get more than 3 feet into your shop without being greeted. I have long called this the carpet rule. A 3 by 5 foot carpet just inside the door sets the playing field for this game. No one gets off the carpet without acknowledgement. Look up, holler, hello, smile, and nod in their direction. You know the head thing guys do, like that. You do not need to engage in a full conversation. Just let them know that you are there and that you are happy about it. This is acknowledgement. Sport Clips in the haircutting business, those of you that have some exposure to them, these guys are famous. Sport Clips is famous for being really great about when the door opens. There's a bell on the door in a barber shop. Ding! They look up. Hey, how you doing? Welcome to Sport Clips. Moe's. We've talked about Moe's here in this program. Speaking of Cinco de Mayo, let's talk about Moe's Fresh Mexican. Anybody know what they yell at you when you go to Moe's? Anybody know? You touch the door handle. You crack the door. Every single employee at Moe's behind the counter, wiping tables, mopping the bathroom, picking up trash, frying taco chips, building tacos on the line, making your quesadilla, ringing up sales. Every single person at Moe's looks up, turns towards the door and yells, "Welcome to Moe's!" And you know what? If you haven't been to Moe's before, it'll scare you. It's actually a game we play when we go to Moe's. I don't know if you guys do this. We do this. If you ever go to Moe's, back when we used to go to restaurants, you sit in the dining room at Moe's facing the door. You sit facing the door. You watch the door. Because it's fun to tell who, we play a game, who's new or who's been to Moe's before. Because if you've been to Moe's before, you don't get surprised. You don't jump. But if you haven't been to Moe's before, when you walk in the door and 14 people, and even customers do it, 14 people scream, "Welcome to Moe's!" I've seen people turn around, walk right back out the door. Freaks them out. It's about greet immediately. It's about culture. It's about treating people the way you want to be treated. It's about treating people like you're happy that they're there. I say that in the book. You want to look up, you want to acknowledge, and you want to let people know that you know that they're there and that you're happy about it. I can't think of a better way to put that. So that is Cinco de Mayo. That is May 5 in $100,000 Hair Cutter. Somebody threw up another date. I think it was July. Who was it? It was Katie. Katie, July 25. Let's see what Katie asked for in July 25. July 25, day 206, 159 days remaining in the year. Measure twice, cut once. It's called the Carpenters Rule. Be sure. Rephrase and restate consultation information. Gain consensus and agreement before you cut. You can't put it back. Better to leave it longer than to go shorter. Better to leave it longer and then go shorter than to take it too short right away. No one wants two haircuts. No one wants to do... Let's slow down here. No one wants to do two haircuts on one client for one price. But no one wants an angry client. Cut a bit, get a green light, and then proceed. Measure twice, cut once. The Carpenters Rule. That's about just being careful. In the consultation side of things, we talk about the idea that no one should ever do a consultation with tools in their hands. You don't ever do a consultation for a haircut holding tools. As soon as you pick up tools, the message you're sending is, I am ready to cut. You're not ready to cut. You're not ready to cut until you and the client got the Vulcan mind meld and are totally on the same page about what you want, what they want, how you're going to go about it. Not how you're going to go about it. They don't get to choose your technique or your execution of the haircut, but at least the end result is something they get to attempt to request to call. So measure twice, cut once is the $100,000 hair cutter tip of the day. Don't forget 100 by 100. We talked heavily yesterday about referrals, about building business, and this is it. 100 new haircut customers in 100 days. That's the other book. So let's talk clippers. You guys ready to do a deep dive on clippers? Clippers are sort of the sexy tools of the haircut business. Everybody's all excited about clippers. Go to a hair show, everybody runs to the clipper booth, saving money, everybody's saving up for another clipper. Let's get out in front of a couple of things. Good men's haircutting is a 3-tool game. It's really 3 tools, minimum 3 tools. It is your large, high-speed, rotary motor, detachable blade clipper. That's a mouthful. We're going to break that down in a minute. That is tool number 1. Tool number 2 is an adjustable blade clipper. Typically a magnetic, could be a rotary, but it's an adjustable blade clipper for our tapering and some of our fine blending and detail. And tool number 3 is your trimmer. It is your trimmer, lining, edging, eyebrows, nose hair, ears, little details, very tight work. Work with the small end of our comb for a lot of our little detail work. Rotary motor, detachable, magnetic motor, adjustable, trimmer, typically. Now there are some variations in those motor types, and there are some variations in those choices depending on who you are and what you cut. But a lot of times on Instagram, we see these stations of these guys with all these tools laid out. And I don't know why they need that many. You just don't need that many. We get picky about our tools. We get specific about our tools. I like this tool because it does this. I like that tool because this blade is different. That's when we get into some of the esoteric specifics of our tools. And I think there's 2 sides to what we'll call tool creep. That is that tendency for hair cutters to accumulate more and more tools. On one hand, the better we are as a hair cutter, the fewer tools you need. I can do it all with one clipper. I could run my whole station all day long with one clipper. True. However, as your knowledge increases, as your understanding of tools increase, you will certainly want to accumulate some specialty tools that do unique and different things. As an example, right now, I think on my station in my shop, I have 3 trimmers that I'm currently using. I don't need 3. I have 3 because they're different. There's differences in why I choose which one over the other. So we'll get into a little bit of that. As we go through specific clippers, as I dig into the pile back here and I start to show you guys and share with you guys some clippers, we're going to go backwards through time. We're going to start with the newer, more modern tools, and we're going to end today with a lot of the museum pieces, the more historical or the more classic tools. I'm going to step away for a minute. I want to grab something that is absolutely the most modern tool that I own to show you guys. And then we will work backwards through it. But I want to talk motor types first. There's 3 basic types of motors and a 4th type, which is a little less common, but we're starting to see a few things there. I want to explain the differences in these motors and some of their choices. Choice number 1 typically is what we call a magnetic motor clipper. And I want to show you a magnetic motor clipper, and I want to talk about what a magnetic motor clipper is, what it does, kind of what it's all about. Let's see, what do I have here in a magnetic? I'm not a big user of magnetics, so while I have a few, okay, here's one. I guess we're going to go with as classic as you can possibly go. That's an Andis Master clipper. They still make this clipper. They recently introduced a cordless version of it, but this is the Andis Master. Now this particular one is special, and I'll tell you about that in just a moment, but it's a magnetic motor. Magnetic motor clippers have very, very high blade speeds. If you look at the blade, it's moving so fast you can't see it. 7,200 cutting strokes per minute. However, magnetic motor clippers have low power or low torque. Please do not confuse speed with power. They're 2 totally different things. Speed is how fast is the blade moving. Power or torque is how much force does the blade have in its ability to cut through thicker, heavier, and wetter hair. More hair, larger amounts of hair between the teeth. You sometimes get in trouble if you have a high-speed clipper, like a magnetic, with a wide tooth blade. They make a version of this in the horse grooming industry that's got wider teeth because the hair is coarser. But if you try to use that on humans and you get a lot of hair in it, it'll bog the motor. It'll do what's called bogging the armature. You hear that noise on magnetic clippers sometimes because you're feeding more hair in. Magnetic motor clippers are high speed, but they're low power. Even the world famous Andis Master is high speed, low power. It is not a high-powered clipper. It is designed for tapering dry hair. You almost never want to cut damp or wet with a mag, generally speaking. Most of them feature adjustment levers for blade adjustment for that fine, tight tapering. They have an electromagnet and a spring, and the blade is attached to an armature or an arm. And with the alternating current that comes out of the outlet in America, that magnet charges up and lets go. Charges up and lets go. So it pulls the blade over. When it charges, the magnet charges and pulls it. And then when the current cycles off and the magnet discharges, the spring throws the blade back the other way. Magnet, spring, magnet, spring. Pull, release, pull, release, pull, release. And it does it at a speed that is controlled by the alternating current coming out of the outlet in the wall. All magnetic motor clippers are all the same speed. I don't care where you get one. I don't care who makes it. Hear me now. All magnetic motor clippers are all the same speed because of the way they use alternating current. Now, what's special about this Andis Master? Beyond it being a regular Andis Master, they're all metal. They're heavy, but the heaviness is the coil winding inside that gives that a nice big meaty motor. They're handmade in America by people I know, by people who are dedicated and committed to making some of the best tools in the world. It's still the gold standard of the industry. We love this tool. We always have. We always will. This particular one, this actual clipper, is one of the clippers left over from my Guinness World Records. This is one of the clippers that was used in 1998, the first time I broke the Guinness haircutting world records. It's in my personal collection. One of the clippers from the world records is in the museum, the Barbershop Hall of Fame and Museum outside of Columbus, Ohio. And one of the clippers used to break the Guinness World Records is in the Andis factory up in Wisconsin. There were 3 of them. I have one, the museum has one, and the Andis company has the other. So, long time from now, when I am long gone, highly collectible, a special piece of my personal history and a special piece of the history of the Andis Master Clipper, because it can claim the world record. That's your magnetic motor. The next clipper we want to look at is what's called a pivot motor. This is an, oh wow, there's hair all over the blade. That's old hair too. This is a pivot motor clipper. This is called an Oyster fast feed. Is the Master good for detailing, fine-tuning a haircut? Yes, it is a adjustable blade for really a lot of your fine tapering, your blending on shorter hair, high blade speed, low blade torque. So you're not going to rip through hair fast. You're going to work slowly with it. You're going to work carefully with it. You're going to work deliberately with it. It was an odd choice for the world records because it's not a fast use clipper, but it's a legacy clipper for the brand, which is one of the reasons we chose it. Now, the other side of that conversation is the fast feed from Oyster. This is a 1350 blade on a, what's the model on this one is called? A 2351, a fast feed. Now, this one's also a special individual one to me, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. Let's talk about blade cleaning in a different conversation, Marissa. I want to focus on these clippers now. In the sanitation class at 11, we can talk about clipper cleaning and disinfection and sanitation. Pivot motor. Where a magnetic motor was high speed, low torque, pivots are the opposite. Pivot motor clippers are low speed. They're slow tools. They're half the speed of a magnetic. They call it a fast feed. I've always thought of that as a bit of a joke. It should be called a slow feed, but nobody would buy it. It's been made for many, many years. This clipper's older than I am. And a lot of people really like this clipper. It's love-hate. You either love it or you hate it, and there's a reason why, and I'll explain that in a minute. But pivot motors, instead of having an armature with a magnet and a spring, it has an armature with 2 magnets and 2 springs. So on one phase of the electricity, the magnet charges up and pulls the clipper over while the spring pushes it the other way. When the current alternates, it switches. The magnet charges up and the spring pushes the blade over. So instead of being magnet, spring, very quickly, it's magnet, spring, magnet, spring, magnet, spring, magnet, spring. What that means is each stroke has both a magnet pulling and a spring pushing the other way. Where the other one was magnet, spring, either or, a pivot motor clipper is magnet and spring, magnet, and as a result, it's got a lot more force. It's got a lot more power to it, but it works at half the speed, 3,600 strokes per minute. It is slow, but it is torquey. It's like the difference between, if you've got a Honda Civic SI, little car, little engine, it's a screamer. It can go super quick, but it takes a little while to get there. And if you've got a big old 5-liter Mustang sitting at the corner and you whomp on it, it can go fast, but it's going to launch because it's got power. That's the difference between speed and torque. Torquey, thick hair, heavy hair, wet hair, very thick textures, Latin textures, Asian textures, people that have seal fur. I'm talking hairs per square inch like crazy. You put them back in the bowl, you hose them down, you sit them up, they're still dry. That kind of hair density. Fast feed peels through it. Now, the reason this one is special is this is the clipper, the actual clipper, that was issued to me in my student kit in beauty school 33 years ago. I got this clipper in school. I used this clipper in school. I kept cutting with it after school, and then I retired it a few years back and haven't used it since. But I still own it. It's not a favorite of mine, and here's why. The big difference between A master and a fast feed, besides speed and torque, is blade head angle. The blade on a master is a little bit steeper. The blade on a fast feed is a little bit flatter or lower, which changes your hand position and the angle of your hand when you're cutting. As a result, it becomes a very personal preference. There are some people out there that love this clipper. They swear by this clipper. It's their favorite clipper. It's kept them in business. I mean, people are still buying it because they like it so much. There are other people out there, use it once, put it down, never use it again. I used it early on in my career. It's what I was given. I learned how to like it. It's not a preferred clipper for me now, but it is a legacy. Just like an Andis Master, a 2351 fast feed is a legacy item in the haircut business. So that's motor style number 2. You got magnetic and you got pivot. Your third clipper style is your rotary motors. And I've got a lot of rotary motors here, and I want to pick one to show. I'm going to pick up this guy. Now, this is a version of the Oyster 76. It features interchangeable detachable blades. This particular one is a 2-speed. The 76 is usually a 1-speed. They called it a Titan when they put the 2-speed on it. And this one was specifically a Oyster joint venture product with American Crew Men's Haircutting called a Crewmaster. It was their 2-speed. Rotary motor. Now, it means it spins round and round, and it uses some type of gearbox to turn rotary motion into reciprocal or back and forth motion. Not all rotaries are detachables. I'll show you another one right here. This is a rotary, but it's an adjustable. This is an Andis Select Cut. This was an Mbg 2 Select Cut from Andis. Happened to be a favorite of mine. It was a ceramic blade, adjustable, but a rotary motor. There are a lot of people out there still use 76s. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But where magnetics are high speed, low torque, and pivots are high torque, low speed, we just lost our feed on Zoom. I apologize for that. We'll be back in a moment. Frustrating, I know. We'll be back to it in just a minute. There are a lot of people still cutting with a 76, and I'm not. What's that?
Do you need something?
No. I'm not a big fan of it because I think it's really antiquated technology. I think in a lot of ways an Oyster 76 is out of date. They're heavy. They're noisy. There are a lot of ways in which technologically, as we'll see with some other clippers, we've come a long, long way since the design of that tool. But here, we're going to get Zoom back up in just one second. Alrighty. Yep. All right, we're back here on Zoom. I apologize, guys. As you know, from time to time, that feed represents a bit of a challenge. We struggle with it, but we're talking rotaries. We're talking high speed and high torque. Magnetics were high speed, low torque. Pivots were high torque, low speed. Rotaries are both high speed and high torque. However, the bigger the speed, the bigger the motor. The bigger the torque, the bigger the motor. The bigger the motor, the bigger the clipper. So some of these rotaries can get large. I'll give you an example of that. I think I have one here. This is an Oyster clipper that was called a Turbo 111. I used to call it the police flashlight. This thing is big. This thing is thick. This thing is heavy. This thing's a beast, but at a cost. A lot of hair cutters were not comfortable with a Turbo 111 because it's really just an enormous, look at the difference, it's an enormous clipper in both size and weight. Now, if you're buzzing Marines, God bless you. You can be buzzing Marines all day long with a 111. I've used this in the shop briefly. It's noisy. It sounds like you're making margaritas or you're fighting a war in Vietnam. It's a cross between a blender and a helicopter, and it's really a lot of clipper. Not by any choice in my mind is this a modern or reasonable tool that someone can consider to use in a haircutting business today. I just don't think this is a relevant clipper anymore. Same thing goes with the 76. The 76 is hot. The 76 is noisy. The 76 is heavy. The 76 blows air around through the fans. The 76 requires grease in the gearbox and brush replacement on the sides and a level of care that typically other clippers don't. Now, the flip side of that is a 76 is 100% fixable. Every single piece of this clipper can be bought, repaired, replaced, and swapped out. And a good barber knows how to take apart a 76 like a soldier in a foxhole knows how to field strip an AR-15. You just know how to take apart every single piece of it. A clipper like this, that's a very modern clipper. This is a JRL 1040. I've been using this in a lot of my classes. This is rotary motor. This is adjustable blade. It's lithium-ion battery. It's 100% state-of-the-art. Now, if you break a tooth, you can buy a new blade for this clipper. But other than a broken tooth, this clipper is absolutely disposable. You just throw this clipper away. Now, it's a $150 clipper. Let me get this blade on here properly. That's a $150 clipper. That's a lot of money for a disposable tool. I understand that, but even the charge cord. If you lose the charge cord, you can't buy another one. They don't bring those in from China. If you lose the charge cord, you buy another clipper and have two clippers in one charge cord, or you throw it away. No one has ever, in the history of mankind ever, thrown away an Oyster 76. It just doesn't happen. So while I don't agree that the tool should be used anymore, I respect it for what it represents. A 57 Chevy. Would you want a 57 Chevy? Of course you would. Would you enjoy driving around in a 57 Chevy on a Sunday, on a beautiful day in July, with the top down and the radio on? Of course you would. But in a traffic jam on Interstate 20, driving through Albuquerque in 114-degree heat, bumper to bumper, I want to be in a 2020 Camry with the power windows, the sunroof, the air conditioner, and I want to be enjoying modern technology. I don't want to suffer for my art, and that's really the case. So the Oyster 76 and the Oyster Titan, while they are legendary tools in the industry, these are dinosaurs. So that's our three motor types. I want to get one new clipper here. Hang on, guys. Pardon me a second, I had to run over to the shelf. At the very opposite end of some of those classic tools, a Master, a Fast Feed, and a 76, this is a JRL 1090. This is their latest, most state-of-the-art tool. This one isn't even out of the box yet, guys. I've taken it out to peek at it, but I'm going to open it up with you guys here and show you. This is, again, I mean, look, brand new in the box. I got other box clippers here too. Never been used. This is lithium-ion battery. It's a single speed, unlike the JRL 1040, which is 5-speed. Crazy runtime on this thing. It's got a self-cooling internal motor, oil light indicators, things like that. Just all the state-of-the-art technology. Bimetallic blades, steel and titanium for long blade life. So we've come a long way in some of these technologies as it relates to some of these tools. So kind of the oldie but goodie to explain the motor types and the oldest and the newest of what's available here to look at a couple of tools. So I want to work backwards through time, as I said. I want to first look at the tools. The new JRL, Scott asked the question. The 1040, I want to say, is about $1, probably $1.25 maybe at a show, give or take a little bit. The new JRL 1090, I think you can get that for about $75 at a show. So not terribly expensive. Yeah, it's strong and fast. A lot of the really good modern cordless tools, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. The three classics I started with are all corded tools. They all plug into the wall. and I still think there's a time and a place for corded tools in our industry today. Now, I went to the shop and I rated my station, and I have some very modern tools. These are tools that actually came off my station that I really use right now to cut real customers. Okay? This is my adjustable. That's a Wall 1919. It's got a grip band on it, but that's a Wall 1919. It's adjustable blade, cordless. Now, today when you see cordless, reminder, if it's cordless, it's rotary. If it's cordless, it's rotary. There are no cordless magnetics, and there are no cordless pivots. Can't do it. They require alternating. This is a direct current tool, so it's going to be a rotary motor. It is fast. It is torquey. It is reasonable in terms of its weight. It's got a retro kind of look to the cover plate for heritage from Wall. I really like this tool, and I honestly, this is my clipper I use every day in the shop when I cut in the shop. I use it for my tight tapering. I also use this with plastic guards when and where that is appropriate. I'm a big user of that. The other tool I have is that 1090 from JRL that I showed you. I got one in the shop. I got one here, the new one here at the house. That's my lightweight cordless, also adjustable, but lightweight for a lot of uses and applications. That's the 1-speed. This is the 5-speed. I use the 5-speed on speed 5 all day long. I don't ever use a lower speed on it. We've talked about blade speeds in some other classes. In the detachable category, this is my detachable from the shop. This is the current one I use, and notice it has a cord. In the detachable category, I'm going to say this now publicly, I say it all the time. In the detachable, that's the blades that pop on and off. In the detachable blade category, I believe the better tools are still corded. I believe that the cordless tools, and it's primarily the Oyster Octane and primarily the Andis Supra ZR and ZR2, they're cordless, they're rotary, they're detachable, but they're heavy. They got plenty of power. Their battery life is better now. Yes, they've improved, but I still think they are way too heavy to be comfortable to use all day long. Detachable are the best no matter what. I don't think you can make that statement, Christopher. Detachables are the right tool in the right place for the right thing at the right time. Let me explain that further. I get the question all the time from people, hey, I got to buy a clipper. Which clipper should I buy? And I tell people, if someone tells you which clipper to buy, run away. Run away quickly. Because the answer to the question, I want to buy a clipper, which clipper should I buy, is another question. That question is, can you tell me what you're going to do with it? And I will make an appropriate recommendation for you, because the answer is guards don't mess people up mess people up. Guards don't mess people up mess people up. And by the way, guards and blades, the principles by which you use blades and the principles by which you use guards are exactly the same. The hand motion, the techniques, and the behavior are all the same. Do the Andis detachables have a swivel cord? Some do, some don't. Some do, some don't. This is a Wall Mentor. I like this clipper a lot. It's fast. It's 2 speeds. I normally just use it on speed 2. It's lightweight. It's got a comfortable shape to it. And I can use it all day long. It's not nearly as heavy as a Supra or an Octane. I still think there's good corded clippers in the detachable category. I've got a couple of others here that we'll talk about. But this is my Wall Mentor. When we have that question and that conversation of, I got to buy a clipper, which clipper should I buy? And here's a perfect example. Marissa asked, best one for the best price for men's regular cuts. Are they just the rapid fire? Roger asks. The rapid fire, no, they're an improvement over the rapid fire. The rapid fire had a rheostat with a variable speed control on it. This is just a 2-speed. It's the next generation of that tool, but it's substantially improved over what the rapid fire was. Here's the answer. I gotta buy a clipper, which clipper should I buy? And Marissa's question, best one for the price for men's regular cuts, is that's not enough information for a good answer. And here's why. I gotta buy a car. Which car should I buy? I use this analogy all the time. Well, what are you going to do with that car? Do you want good gas mileage? Do you want to tow a boat? Or do you want to go crazy fast and look good doing it? Well, you could get a Ford F-150, you could get a Toyota Prius, or you could get a Corvette. Now, think about it. Ford F-150, Toyota Prius, Corvette. Each of those cars, no question, are number one in their category. But each of those cars are very different. It's about category. If you want to tow a boat and you buy a Corvette, you're going to be disappointed. If you want good gas mileage and you buy a Ford F-150, you're going to be disappointed. If you want to go fast and look sharp and you buy a Prius, you're going to be disappointed. Because while each one of those tools are the best in their category, each one of those tools does something really well differently than the other. And you can't really compare them. You can't compare a Ford F-150, a Corvette, and a Prius. Some people would argue a good garage would have all three. So do you buy a detachable rotary? Do you buy an adjustable magnetic? Or do you buy a pivot motor? The answer is you may need them in different situations. Are you cutting with guards? Are you doing a lot of freehand clipper over comb? Are you shampooing customers first? Or are you cutting dry? Are you mostly barbering 30 haircuts a day on guys? Or are you a cosmetologist that does 3 or 4 men's haircuts a day on the boyfriends, husbands, and children of a female client base? These are the kinds of questions you must ask you must ask me, I must ask you to help you make good clipper choices. So there is no one good answer. It's like chicken wings, pizza, tacos, or hamburgers. What's the best thing to have for lunch? Well, I'm sorry. It's Taco Tuesday. Tacos are the right thing to have some days. But some days you got to have a burger. And some days, yeah, Haley says tacos. All right, I get it. But that's my answer. So I want to next look at my 3 current trimmers. I have 3 trimmers on my station. I have a wall cordless detailer. I have a Caliber 38 Special. And I have a Babyliss Flash FX. Now these 2 tools are very different. They're all 3 cordless. They're all 3 T-blades. And that's where the similarities end. The 38 Special has good power, a lot of power. The 38 Special has insane battery life. This thing runs forever. Forever. Just forever. And it's got a pretty good blade. It's got the finest of my 3 blades for really, really clean lining and work. Second finest, not finest. The finest blade that I have is on my Babyliss Flash FX. It's got a wide T, it's got very fine teeth, it's got a strong corner. I like the size and shape. It's small and it's lightweight. And the battery life on this tool sucks. The battery life is way behind modern tools. But it's still on my station because I like the feel and I like the precision control of the very small, fine blade. It's adjusted up, it's bumped up. This is my closest, tightest cutting trimmer. But it's not my workhorse. It doesn't do the majority of my work. My number 1 go-to choice in the trimmer category is this one. This is the Wall 5-Star Cordless Detailer. It is a relatively new tool. It's probably one of their newer tools. It has very good battery life. It's got very good power. It's got a very good, very nice fine T-blade. All around, all over, generally speaking, this is the best trimmer on my station. No question about it. But I still have these 2 guys around. I love this guy, this Caliber 38 Special. It just goes, and it's small, and it's light, and it's nimble. It's a lot smaller than the Wall, and it's a lot lighter than the Wall. But I don't like the blade quite as much as the Wall. But I love the battery life. Goes forever. And this one, microfine detail, but every time you turn around, it's dead. So that's why these are the 3 trimmers that are my choice on my station top. So that's my current tools that are actually being used in the shop. Now, I want to look at some special stuff. Can you list the names for all those again, please? Sarah, that was the wall cordless detailer, the Caliber 38 Special, and the Babyliss Flash FX. That was the 3 trimmers that I shared with you guys. All right. Next up, I want to show you some special things. Some things you may or may not have seen. No longer made. That's a Sterling 3. This one was a rotary motor clipper from Wall, from their Sterling brand. It's got a big fat housing on it. It's large. It's got a boatload of rotary power, but it took the standard Wall guards. I bought this clipper specifically when I was working at Supercuts. Supercuts back in the day wanted you to use an Oyster 76 because they wanted you to use high speed, high power. This clipper is high speed, high power. They wanted you to use blades with guards on them. I just wanted to use some guards because I was cranking the haircuts back in those days. Love this clipper back in the day. By today's standards, it's big, fat, and heavy, but it was a really great, powerful, adjustable blade clipper, and specifically the favorite of one of my mentors. One of my mentors was a guy out of Lansing, Michigan, by the name of Jim Jones. He was a legendary clipper cutting educator back in the day, and his absolute hands-on favorite tool was a Sterling 3. So when he introduced me to a Sterling 3, I had to run out and buy one. At the time, I specifically remember, and we're going back to 1980s, I paid over $100 for this. It was not a cheap clipper back in the day, but boy, was it a good one, and I love this clipper back in the day. Not a clipper I would use today, but a clipper that I have a lot of nostalgic feelings for. So that's your Sterling 3. Another clipper in that category from my days at Andis, that's like the Sterling 3, that's rotary. I generally, Donnell, do not adjust or modify blades, generally. That Flash FX trimmer was tweaked slightly. The Caliber and the Wall were not. Those are out-of-the-box factory settings. Adjustable blade rotary motor, like that Sterling 3, but this was a adjustable version of one of my longtime favorite Andis clippers that I may have one of here. It's called an Andis Mbg. Now, interesting, this is the Trendsetter version of the Select Cut in a lilac blue color. It was just plain fugly. I mean, the box was ugly, the clipper was ugly. This one has a steel where this one is ceramic. A little bit of difference in the blade style. Just an ugly, ugly tool, but a goodie. Just a rock solid. You could cut all day long with that clipper. So really cool in that regard. Roger says, looks like a Royal Taper. I'm not familiar with that. Tell me a little bit about a Royal Taper. I don't know what that clipper is. Couple of other unique things to share with you guys. This is a Caliber 50 cal. Now this is a modern tool from Caliber. They've just updated the look on it. It is cordless. They say it has a magnetic motor, and I don't know enough about the motor technology inside this clipper. It's adjustable with a clicking adjust, what they call detents on there, so it clicks instead of a friction fit like a Master, a vintage Wall from the 60s. That very well may be, that Sterling 3 might have had another name back in the day. Because there's a lot of those older clippers that had some different names. Lisa, ceramic or steel? On the detachables, I'm a steel guy. I am not a ceramic guy. I've never really liked the ceramic blades. On the smaller sizes, the ceramics are better. 40, 50, 000, 0A, maybe. But larger than an OA, 1 and up, I prefer steel. Because on the larger blades, 2, 3.5 blades on detachables, the ceramics tend to float just a little bit. They tend to pull just a little bit. I don't think they cut as well. That's my personal impression of them. But the 50 cal is at 10,000 SPM, stroke per minute. It's very fast. This clipper is a little odd. It feels weird because of the speed. It's got an unusual quit. I used this for a while. I got used to it. It's quiet, easy, fast. It is a little heavy by today's standards, but not in a bad way. Lean and narrow, so that heaviness is compact. That guy who's short and stocky, but powerful. So that's the 50 cal, again from Caliber, an interesting kind of tool. JRL, that's a JRL 1000. Not still make this one or still sell this one, but this is the clipper that got me to fall in love with JRL. Adjustable blade, bimetallic, internal cooling system. How many speeds was this? It's a 5-speed, crazy battery life. Very lightweight, very compact, very slim, reasonably quiet, stays cool running. Oil indicator. This is a clipper that beeps to tell you when it needs to be oiled. Kind of a really cool feature. Why don't more people do that? That's the JRL 1000. May or may not still be available. I'm sure you can still find new models of it out there. Even if JRL isn't still selling them, they're still in the distribution pipeline for sure. This is a real oldie. This one is collectible. I want to share this. This is an SR1000 Styling Research Company, and this is a Andis joint venture private label clipper. SRC, or Styling Research Company, was SR, Styling Research, was Electro Shear. Look at that. This is from the very late mid-1980s, early to mid-1980s, not late, early to mid-1980s, produced by Andis, exclusively for Redken or SRC, and what this is this is rotary motor, detachable. It's what's called the PGM series. So the blade drive system on this clipper looks and acts a little different. Your Andis Mbg blades and your Oyster 76 blades will not fit this detachable. Now we have common detachable blades. I cut with this a couple of times. As I was getting into the business, this blade series with Andis was starting to go away. They'd stopped making the blades, and you could still find them in the dealers or distributors, but they were going away. So the SR1000 from Styling Research Corporation, that's one of my sort of museum collectibles. Won't ever cut hair with it again. A lot of respect for what it represents. But back in those days, Andis did not do a lot of joint venture, co-branded kind of work. So that was kind of an odd duck in that regard. There is a clipper I do want to show you if I can find it. Because I got a bunch of stuff down here. This is an Mbg. This is an Mbg. It's a Trendsetter Mbg. Trendsetter was Andis's line sold and targeted at stylists, not barbers. This was my favorite clipper for many years. I can't tell you the number of these I sold at trade shows when I was demoing for Andis. We used to run them on a deal. They came with a 000 blade. We would give you a trimmer blade and a T24 texture blade, a 3-blade set at like a $99 hot price, and we sold these all day long like popcorn. And all over the United States, there are many stylists, because this was a detachable that was a little smaller and a little bit lighter than the detachables that were common at the time, which was the Andis Mbg series. Mbg series detachables, and I should have one of those here to show within the collection. Here's one. This is another clipper left over from my Guinness World Record. It's all about who's handling the equipment. Don't matter what it is, expensive or Walmart. If you don't know how to use it, it won't work right. Scott, I got to agree with you about 300%. You're absolutely right. I have 2-speed like that. Yeah, this is the Mbg. This is the Andis Mbg Plus. This is a 1-speed, and it's a heavier version of that Mbg. This is a Mbg Plus. It was a little faster than a regular Mbg. It's got the squarer body with the little cliff back there that your hand kind of sat into. This is another clipper left over from the world record. I use this alongside the Master in breaking the Guinness World Records. Again, heavy by today's standards. In its day, a real workhorse clipper that people very much liked. Couple things to share with you that are fun. Check out this box. That's the box that Andis clippers were sold in many crazy years ago. All right, and I want you to see what I have here. The bubble wrap is new, but the information in with the clipper, the blade, oil-free paper, the moisture blocking paper. This is an Andis 2-speed master. The switch goes up. No, this is single speed, not a 2-speed. This is an Andis Master single speed detachable style cord. This guy's a classic. And what's special about this is not only do I have the original box, this one's never been used. Brand new, never been used in the original box. This one is absolutely, totally pristine. And I'm going to put it away. Okay? It's never seen a single haircut. It never has, and it never will. Highly collectible little baby right there. This one's kind of cool. This has never been used. This is an Oyster limited edition Model 10. It's priced at $195. I got this one for free. This was a gift from a dealer distributor as a thank you when I did a show for them. Now you got to remember, back at this time, I was working for Andis, but the Oyster dealer gave me this gift. It's their 1958 to 1998. Is that what it is? Does it have an anniversary on it? What year this was? It's an anniversary additional Model 10. I think it's, no, it would be 08. Would have been 08. So it's a 50-year collectible. Let's open this up and see what this looks like. It's got a red velvet lined box. It's got a 000, a 1.5, and these blades are gold. You can't see that gold color on there. They're gold anodized blades. And then the clipper is here, and it's not a 76 and it's not a 111. And I don't want to take it out of the box. It's never been out of the box, but it lays in that box. That is a Model 10. And I'm going to show you another Model 10 in just a minute. But that was their limited edition anniversary Model 10 in the wooden collector's box like that. Just a really cool piece of my collection. So let's put that one away. And let's look at, there's another clipper I want to show you here. Oh, while we're on the Model 10 discussion, this one is less than 10 years old. This was when Andis reintroduced the Model 10, or I'm sorry, when Oyster reintroduced the Model 10. They sold the Model 10 for many years. They did that collectible version at a time when Model 10s were not sold. And then this is no more than 8 maybe years ago. They came back out with the Model 10 and they reintroduced it. This is a modern tool. There's a little bit of hair on it because I took it out and I cut a little bit of hair with it. It's like a mini 76. They're smaller, they're lighter, they're loud, they're crazy. But they have a huge retro feel to it. Makes you feel like an old-time barber from the 1960s, 70s or something when you use it. I'll still cut hair with this a bit. Every once in a while, I'll take one of these kind of old tools out to the shop and use it on a Saturday and cut a little bit of hair with it, just for the nostalgia's sake of using something. Because I love the hand. It's so small. I feel like I could be quick and nimble with this. I feel like I could cut a boatload of hair, and I know I would have a whole lot of fun. And I would tell clients about it. I would talk to clients about it, tell them what it is, why it does it. These are all detachables right now that you're seeing. Absolutely. So, Lisa, the enthusiasm. Absolutely. These are like the fun toys of our business. Let's see what else we got in the way of archives. All right, some people have never seen this. If you've never seen this before, and look how filthy dirty this one is. This one has clearly been used. I bought this on eBay. I didn't clean it. I didn't get it fixed up. I didn't do anything with it. This is a 1925 Andis Junior clipper. The cord is all dry rotted. It does not have an adjustment on it. It does not have a detachable blade. It's a small 000 fixed blade clipper that would strictly have been used over comb the whole way through. They're JD. It's a model JD, Junior Deluxe. They're small. They're compact. There's a tension screw right on the cover. There's a funny little toggle screw on the side to turn it on and off. They're a great little size. They've got such wonderful hand feel in a cast aluminum housing, just like a modern Master would be. But this one's a 1925, and again, it's got the original cord on it. The cord's not really attached properly at the bottom anymore. It's kind of filthy and gross, but it's super exciting because of what it represents. Now, guys, I don't know if I brought it over here to show you, but I have another one of those, brand new, never been used. 2-speed Master. I got it here. All right, this is a Master with a detachable cord, much newer. This one probably dates from the late 60s. This one's got a lot of miles on it. Some barber or barbers fed their families for years with this exact tool. For many, many years. And you can see one of the things that's so cool about this. If you look at the side of the clipper, I don't know if you can see it, but the side of this clipper has got all kinds of tiny little scratches in it. Right in this area right here between my fingers. It's loaded with scratches on that side. Does anybody know what those scratches are from? What caused those scratches? Or why does it have those scratches like that? Can anybody tell me? Does anybody know? Roger raised his hand. What do you got, Roger? Why is it scratched up like that, right on that side like that? I have used a vac system, Donnell. I don't care for them, but I've used them to be familiar with them. No, those scratches are from the fact that this clipper hung on a hook. And right next to this clipper, there was a trimmer on a hook. And the trimmer bumped into the clipper like that with the corner of the blade as it swung on, because it would be smaller, it would be hanging next to it. It bumped into it all the time, day after day, year after year, tapping into it and bumping into it just like that. And little by little, it put thousands of tiny little scratches in the side of that clipper just from hanging on a hook and living next to its teammate, living next to its partner. And every time you picked up the trimmer and put it back and it swung into it, it made those little marks. Those are just battle scars. Those are just signs of the years, the time, and the miles that this clipper put in doing what it does. All right, guys, listen. This has been super crazy fun. And you have no idea how many more tools are on the ground next to me over there. I probably own 500 clippers. And I don't want to stop this, but we're out of time. We're going to be back at 11 with Leslie to talk about sanitation and infection control, but we're going to do Clipper Clinic again next week because I haven't even come close to finishing sharing with you so many cool tools and my enthusiasm for so many cool tools in our business. I could talk about this for days. I have old prototypes and I have samples and I have tools that I have patents on from my time working with them. So let's agree to do more of this very, very soon. I'll keep track of what I shared and what I didn't, and we'll just continue this discussion again with a Clipper Clinic class next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate y'all being there. I want to see all the others. I have a rare Andis Lefty Master. Wow, that's cool. I don't have a lefty. Pertaining to this class or a different one, but what about the foil shavers? We could talk about foil shavers in another class, Sarah. I'd be happy to go down that road with you guys. Thanks for being here. We'll see you at 11 with Leslie from Barbicide. Be back soon. Talk to you later. Thanks. Bye-bye.